recording. And we are live. Let's start it out with this.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat. They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats. Eat the cat, eat the cat.
All right.
Oh my
Mr.
God.
Donald Trump. Episode 118. Presidential debate fallout. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Now, there is... Now, so this goes into a whole host of issues, right? So I want to point out one thing. I watched the debate. Did you watch it?
I watched a lot of it. I
watched like the first half-ish, like more than the first half, but then I was done.
I ended up turning it off.
Yeah. I would say on technical points, like everybody agrees, Kamala Harris won. But yeah. That's not saying much to me. I think the bar is so low for the two of them that her just sounding coherent and not rambling like Trump does, and Trump has always done. It's like, winning with or getting a B- versus a D+, right? It's not,
How can I say this in the best way possible? I think the debate started out good. And then Trump took the bait.
Yeah.
She laid several traps for him. He took it every time. She was not coherent on policy. I will say that. So she won on a technicality of not taking the bait. She took the bait on the economy stuff. I will say she did in the beginning.
Well, she does, but she
ended the debate well comparatively. That's the thing. So I turned it off when Trump was starting to ramble and go on. I would agree that she did better. It was bad.
We're 4 days out from it. Now here's the question. The next day, everybody's like, Kamala won. Okay. I didn't think it would change anything. But then, cats and dogs. And here we are.
And he said it
4 days later, 4 days later, 5 days later, and what are we talking about? We're talking about cats and dogs. Now, is the technical aspect of Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, eating people's pets or geese from the park or whatever, is that technically correct? The answer is, and I'll be honest with you, I don't know, because there's this video that I'm going to queue up. And, people are talking about how it's... I don't know. It's not accurate, but we'll get into that in a second. You'll hear the audio, Caitlin, because the stream freezes when I go to video. But so this is, I'll describe it to you. This is a neighbor.
What is this they got on the grill?
On a grill.
Man, listen, man. There go a cat right there. His ass better get missing, man. Look like his homies on the grill, man. What the fuck?
And there's cats all around this grill. You've probably seen it. Everybody's seen it. And the gentleman giving commentaries saying, yeah, you better get going. Your homies are on the grill, right? Okay. So there's dead animals on this grill. Certainly look like cats to me. Is that Springfield, Ohio? Say it was recorded in Dayton. Is it Haitian immigrants or some other group of people or some other person from a different ethnicity, perhaps?
Dayton and Springfield are not that far away from each other.
Right. So this is the one thing. So before we get...
Can I start this off by saying a lot of people talking about Ohio right now have never been to fucking Ohio.
I've never been to Ohio.
Right. You've never been to Ohio. I've been to Ohio a lot. I have family that lives there. My sister lives in Ohio too. No one really cares about Ohio. First of all, they don't care. They actually don't care about the both sides that are talking about this debate, because right now everyone's so polarized that it's basically like Trump's being crazy and the Dems are capitalizing on it. So my big thing with this is that right now the border and our immigration policy in this country is nonsensical, non-existent. Dems want to say that Trump is the reason for the border being crazy. That's not true, because the last border bill that they put through that ended up not passing didn't solve the problem. And we don't need to pretend that it solved any sort of problem. The Democrats want to say it solved a problem because it brought their policy to maybe a midpoint, but their policy preferences on immigration and the border are so horrifyingly awful that like even a slight move to the center for them seems like a big push or a big concession for them.
That's
okay.
That's 100% correct.
So I think the last border bill was like, it would have allowed, like, Jeff, you and I come from like a time period where we've been watching politics since like the 90s. I've been coherent in politics since the 2000 election. The amount of people crossing the southern border during the winter months would not be conceivable during the Bush era years, even Obama. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So, because Obama was known to immigration activists as the deporter in chief, like immigration was still a problem, but like they were still deporting.
He didn't fling open the border. He didn't just open it up like Biden and Harris.
Because Dems knew it was a hot button cultural issue, and they did give some prevalence to that. But then during the Trump years, Democrats went really far left on immigration, and during the Biden administration, they have flung open the border like crazy. They campaigned on it in 2000. Like you're not gonna try to retcon that, okay?
This
for me. Sorry.
No, one last. Go ahead.
For me, it's not about Ohio. It's about what's happening in Massachusetts right now. Okay? Because I don't want to talk about dogs and cats and cultural differences of groups of people living in Ohio. Right now, down Route 1, we have migrants filling hotels because the government is paying these hotels. And even on the South Shore, we have crime, okay, within these migrant hotels. Mm-hmm. And for the Trump campaign to not maybe capitalize on that, because we're a sanctuary, like a lot of these places are sanctuary cities, to capitalize on the absurdity of this policy is just insane to me. Because we're the ones living here and we're living with that. And we vote Republican.
The problem is, it's like you look at this situation, the dogs and cats thing, and the problem you go back to, it's Trump, and we've been dealing with this for 9 awful years of this. He's not capable of putting together a coherent sentence and argument about it. The eating of the cats and dogs is a stand-in for immigration, right? We have brought in, I should say, Harris has brought in tens of thousands, I think well over 100,000 Haitian immigrants, just brought them in, giving them status that they're legally allowed to be here, calling them asylees, asylum seekers, and pushing their court dates out till 2031 and 2033. That's what's going on, right? So we're talking about the cats and dogs 4 days later, but it is a stand-in for the overall immigration issue. The problem is we don't have somebody serious at the top of the ticket talking about the failures, the exact policy failures of the Harris-Biden administration on immigration. Therefore, we get nonsense like cats and dogs. It bothers me in the sense because now we get the moral bullying from people like Frank Luntz and Elizabeth Warren saying, how dare you demonize these immigrant groups. It's like, and oh, by the way, a few of them have been hired in Springfield, Ohio, and are filling jobs and are being productive. Okay, 20,000 Haitian immigrants were just imported into Springfield, Ohio, and maybe at most a few hundred have found employment at factories at lower wages. But hang on, at lower wages than the company would be willing to pay American workers. And we're all supposed to just applaud this because these anecdotal examples are somehow supposed to far outweigh and negate the detrimental effects to the overall population in every single there's cities in every state in this country where this is taking place. Colorado, and now the New York Times is debunking the gangs taking over buildings in Aurora, Colorado, but they get these little weasel words out there. Like you'll see it even on local libs and journalists talking about, well, it's not. And they use very specific Springfield, Ohio, with the cats and dogs. And you're like, yeah, I see what you're doing there. Like maybe it happened the next town over, so technically not Springfield, Ohio. Or, so they set themselves up for this. So they're trying to deny a fact that on the ground people are experiencing it, and gives Trump, in his ridiculously painted argument, more credence, but he can't articulate anything better.
I just think that he chose the wrong argument. Like, what are you doing? Like, why would you even try to push this one when we have literally the scandal concerning this up in Massachusetts, where you can highlight an actual federal issue with sanctuary cities, along with the border crisis?
Well,
a migrant raped a 15-year-old in one of these places. Raped a minor.
Yep.
Like, that is horrifying. And the fact that they can't really do much, that he has to go through our justice system instead of just getting the boot back to wherever he's from, is kind of like, that's absurd to me.
Yeah. The reason why, and we hear is we have to assume it's the Laura Loomer effect, and that lunatic. She's next to the president, right? She's there. The fact that insane person, and she is an insane person, is anywhere near the current Republican nominee for president and potentially the president of the United States is bonkers. And it's that kind of stuff that normal people go, oh, no.
Especially once they read who she is.
Yeah.
Like, the thing is they'll read who she is, and then they have this opinion. Like, it seems like mistake after mistake after mistake after the debate. And, a week like this, so close to the election, not good. And it does reflect on the campaign overall, I will say, because we have two people in charge of the campaign. And I'm not going to say their name on the podcast, but they don't take criticism very well, and they're making mistakes.
Well, the major mistake right out, we just have to say the major mistake was having that debate in June. Campaign should have been like, well, the Dems wanted that debate to force Biden out, to reveal how awful his mental decline has become. Again, Trump took the bait. What's that?
I don't think General Dems knew that yet, to be quite honest. Right. They knew the poll was bad.
And
but the debate ended up being the catalyst that helped them get to that decision.
Of course.
And so when they debate where Kamala looks semi-sane with absolutely no policy preference, that she is getting correct on her answers because it's just word salad, that will play well to every suburban wife in America. And Trump just fell for every trick in the book during that debate. It didn't go well. We can be perfectly honest about it.
The first debate with Biden did not have to happen in June. And if it had happened after the convention, which is when it should have happened, which is their undisciplined campaign and poor campaign, you'd be debating Biden, and this wouldn't even be an issue. Biden couldn't bait Trump at a debate. It wouldn't happen. He wouldn't lay a trap for him. He couldn't. He can barely form a sentence. It would have been it just so mistakes back in June, mistakes throughout. Sue O'Connell said this, tweeted this. I thought about it. It's like, does Trump really want to win this thing? I don't know, or maybe he's just simply not capable of it. And but it's mistake after mistake after mistake. And having Laura Loomer near him, and nobody says no, nobody stops that from happening. And then Bill Maher putting out rumors. It's like, oh, okay, well, you heard that, right? Or do I need to? Caitlin?
I'm sorry. Donald Trump just tweeted, and I got it to my phone. As president, I will immediately end the migrant invasion of America. We will stop all migrant flights, all illegal entries, and terminate the Kamala phone app for smuggling illegals. I don't really know what that is, but it could be real. Revoke deportation immunity, suspend refugee resettlement, and return Kamala's illegal migrants to their home countries, as known as remigration. I will save our cities and towns in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and all across the country.
Well,
all across.
Somebody wrote that for him, which good. Okay, great.
Yeah, it doesn't have his usual capitalizations. Yeah. It's interesting you can kind of tell which ones he does and which ones are in.
So that's a good point right there. So that is the fundamental issue. Look, every time this happens, look, there could be the next debate, and I think there'll be one more. I don't know if there'll be two more. I'm really looking forward to the Vance Walz debate. That actually interests me. What Donald Trump should honestly say at this point, be like, to get everybody behind him for, is like, I'll run for re-election, and on the day after inauguration, I'll resign, and Vance should have it. And you might actually get it reinvigorated.
I guess my point is that Vance doesn't really excite me as a vice president. Like, I mean, I wouldn't say that Pence did too, but no. I thought Pence would be the adult behind Trump. Like, Vance doesn't excite me. Like, I just think that he listens to the dumbest shit, and he's non-charismatic, and he is a smart guy. I will say he is a smart guy, but I wish that he would come to things in a more realistic and real way than I don't know. So the thing is Trump could be I'll resign after day one, so Vance will be president. If you run on that, we're losing, dude. I think that would collapse the Republican support, but at the same time, Vance doesn't really excite me.
He doesn't excite me. I just think he
didn't run that well in Ohio, which is a red state.
He's better at making the case than Trump is.
I agree with that. I think that he's a smart man. Yeah. He is very, very, very smart, which is kind of why I'm perplexed at why he's doing this stupid shit now.
Well, what do you define it? What are you calling stupid shit though? Because I want to know, let's get specific.
Let me explicitly give you the quote that he said this morning to Dana Bash at CNN. JD Vance, in responding to a question from CNN this morning about the dog and cat eating in Springfield, if I have to create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do.
I would imagine there's more to the create stories part, but like we showed, it's is that a story? That's a real story. I mean, it's a small level story. It's not the crime that we're experiencing in Massachusetts and that's happening all over the country due to the illegal immigration. But if it keeps that issue at the forefront, look, I
want these Republicans to be smart enough to look at what is the bigger issue here than fucking Springfield, Ohio. I will say that it's not great. The thing is right now what they're doing with groups of people that are unassimilated into American culture, they're bringing them into the Midwest and these communities that are probably, have big factories where they get these low wage jobs, and those people go to work and they go to church and all this other stuff. Okay. I understand that. I don't know if that's automatically the best decision. I just don't know if that's the best decision. Okay. But on top of that, the flip side, the bigger scandal was in Massachusetts. And I don't know why Trump and Vance are focusing on Ohio so much when they could be focusing on this bigger issue where it actually is more complex.
But hang on. Of course it's more complex. And of course there's a bigger issue. And you're right. But we're dealing with Donald Trump, and Donald Trump had Laura Loomer next to him, and Donald Trump said cats and dogs getting eaten in Springfield, Ohio. Now Vance has to deal with that, right? So he's going to be asked.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so let's what's do you think? I don't think J.D. Vance wants to be talking about cats and dogs getting eaten in Ohio. No, he's from Ohio, so he does not want to be talking about that. I can guarantee you. But he has to deal with that. So how does he deal with that? He deals with that by trying to spin it up to your point, the larger issue, to move it up to that point. Now of course it's going to get derailed because Trump's going to open his mouth on something else and move it and shift the topic away from the larger topic. It's managing chaos. It's not a cohesive, coherent plan that we'd want to put into place. So with that, I can honestly say he has been managing the chaos fairly well, both in his statements, in his tweets, in the pushback, in the interviews of the aftermath.
So, I will say that I think Vance in a debate with Walz will do well. Walz is not a good debater. He's not good at confronting policy he doesn't agree with. He's not good at explaining policies and in a way other than to moralize. He's not good at that. Vance is very good at getting into the nitty gritty of policy. He's a very smart man. Getting into the nitty gritty of policies. And I do think, I watched actually the Vance and Tim Ryan debate for Ohio Senate. And Vance was very good during the debate. The problem is he's not charismatic in the way that he comes back at it. And Tim Ryan looks like a skis bag. Tim Ryan is a skis bag in my personal opinion. He gives me very creepy vibes. But yeah, I think that Vance will do well in that debate. It is a little late considering people are already starting to vote in some states.
Really?
Yeah, I think voting starts soon.
This is why there's the push by Elon and others we've got to get level set on voting, because this is just all the mail-in, months and months out, all these ballots. It should be one day. What they should do is move it to Saturday, one day, maybe two, Friday and Saturday. Done.
Moving our election day is a constitutional thing, and if we move it to Saturday, we're going to adopt a European style. So I don't want to do that.
Why would moving it adopt European? I'm sincerely asking.
Because they mandate people to vote in Europe. In some of the countries.
We wouldn't mandate, just move it to Saturday so more people can. I
think there's early voting on Saturday already, like the Saturday or the weekend before.
There is. Most places. Yeah, well, it's a week. It's the weekdays. It's the Monday through in Mass. I think it's the weekdays, Monday through Friday before the Tuesday. Which, if you're gonna do it, that's fine. You go down to town hall instead of your polling place. That's what I'm doing. When I've done the early voting, but yeah. All right, point taken. Okay.
I don't want to move I'm a conservative. I don't want to move it.
I'm just saying that that's a
and I think changing and shifting, not because our demographics are changing and shifting and what our preferences are. It's because we're giving the left an inch on it. I don't want to give the left an inch. I think that you should vote out of Americans. I try not to give them an inch.
I agree, but the problem is but Caitlin, they've taken a mile already. I'm trying to claw back, 3/4 of that mile with mail-in voting. 2 months out, it used to be absentee ballots. Now it's all mail-in ballots. So many different places. Your early voting way out. I'm trying to claw that back and maybe have a concession to say, okay, 1-day election on Saturday, so like people can actually get there. But I get it. Point taken. I'd leave it on Tuesday and be like, no, we're moving it back to 1 day, and that's it.
I'd even support it being a national holiday, so people have the day off. They go do it.
Okay, that's fair.
Leave
it Tuesday, but make it a holiday.
Holidays that we already have.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Just a day off, a nice Tuesday off, to election day off. Done. Fair.
A lot of states say that you can't be penalized for telling your employer that you're going to go vote. So I just don't want to change it off the Tuesday. I think that's a very American thing.
All right. Look, the immigration issue will be forefront for the next 6 weeks. Okay, it will be. It's the number one issue. All right, and if somehow Donald Trump can maintain some discipline, if he really wants to win this thing, maybe that he can hammer that home, because it will be the number one issue. And the rest of us are just trying to manage the chaos that comes out of it.
I will say,
anything else?
I'm not happy about the way that the campaign's being run right now. I just, I don't like seeing Laura Loomer coming out of the plane with Trump. Get rid of that crazy.
Yeah. All right. Next up, I'm going to cue this up. This is a local story. This is a local story. I'll give you the audio, Caitlin, and then, but you're aware of it, so hang on.
Yeah, this is a pretty crazy story.
Yeah.
Are you sick?
I'm not sick. You are defending genocide.
Genocide?
Yes.
But you are so stupid.
Over 200,000.
You're so stupid. You're stupid. It's another man. Yo. Oh my God. Whoa.
Grab my pistol.
Oh my God.
Grab my pistol.
Oh my
Stop.
God.
Get off him.
What is
Stop. Get
that?
off him.
Yo. Let me back up. Yo.
Where's my pistol?
Oh my God. Yo. Oh my God.
Grab my pistol.
Oh my God.
Grab my pistol. Stop. Get off him. Stop. Get off him. Call the cops.
That was Newton, Massachusetts, a well-to-do suburb of Boston, this past week.
Yeah. Do you know where I go get my nails done?
Caitlin, I can honestly say I do not know where you get your nails done.
I get my nails done in Newton.
Okay.
I drive all the way down to Newton. I've talked about my nails. I like to post them online.
You're on the North Shore and you go to Newton for your nails.
So let me explain this.
I gotta say that.
You're a man. I get it.
Yeah.
It's absurd to white straight males everywhere, probably even non-white straight males. So I go down to Newton to get Russian manicures. They're a specific type of manicure. It uses it looks like a drill bit. It's like an E-file to specifically do a type of technique on your cuticles, and it's a dry manicure. Okay. This happened in Newton. And that's where I go get my nails done. I think that this happened not far actually from where I get my nails done. And when I first saw it, when you told me the story, because I did not happen to this on my own, I was flabbergasted. I thought it would be more aggressive. No, this guy was just yelling and then he went feral. And he was across the street. I can't imagine getting angry enough to ever do something like this at a protester, because you and I are normals. But within the state of Massachusetts, it does show, because the gentleman who pulled out his pistol because he was being attacked, show that we don't really have self-defense law that much. And he's going to have to try his case and probably try it as self-defense.
Well, of course it's self-defense. You
can watch the video.
It's obviously evident to anybody. It's videoed from two different angles.
And he's been charged with several charges
Well,
that
it's
are
assault and battery. It's assault and battery, so it's not like attempted murder or anything. So assault and battery, which you can. I mean, there's probably more of a technical case because, you'd have to determine if the battery, the gunshot was warranted, which of course it was because he was defending himself. The real question for DA Marianne Ryan, who is very liberal, very progressive, it's just a question of, do you want the political fallout of this? Because if they try to put this guy in jail, I kid you not, I'll seriously consider running for governor on a platform that says I'm pardoning this guy.
Right. I think this becomes national news if
Yeah.
she tries to be a complete partisan.
Yeah.
Not in a Kyle Rittenhouse, maybe, I don't know. Again, like Donald Trump and Vance did, are not talking about like the migrant crime in our hotels. So like, I think that this might become a national story. It should. I mean, the guy was clearly attacked. Like
he was clearly attacked, but he was attacked.
Peacefully protesting.
Yes.
They were peacefully protesting. And this guy comes over and just straight up attacks them. He's berating them from across the street. And he runs over with a specific reason to inflict violence. So
correct. This guy was a violent, Hamas supporting, aggressive individual who wanted to perpetrate political violence on these protesters. It's clearly self-defense. Clearly. Now, progressives do have the point of view that if you are attacked by, well, basically anybody, by criminals or by a certain class of people who have political beliefs that align with theirs, that you are you have the obligation to essentially die. You have the obligation, like if you're attacked, you can't defend yourself. That's their view. We as Americans have a fundamental right to defend ourselves. We have a fundamental right to protest peacefully, all of which this gentleman, he was a veteran of the Iraq War. He engaged in peacefully until he was attacked and then defended himself. So I have a few more points, but one, and then I just got to get out. The Orwellian second charge, there was assault and battery, but there's this weird one where it's violation of constitutional right to carry. It's like he didn't violate. This is a weird one to me. I
never heard of that. I don't even know what that would mean. Do you kind of know what that means?
I think what they're trying to say is he used his firearm in an inappropriate way, essentially in an illegal way, which it's a violation of his constitutional right to carry, meaning you have a right to carry it, you have a right to constitutionally carry it, but you shouldn't actually use it when you need to use it in the manner of self-defense. That is Orwellian and nonsense. If anything, he exercised his right to constitutional carry. He didn't violate it. So this has to stop. Look, friendly advice to DA Marianne Ryan, just broom this aside. Let him get sued by the guy he shot. That'll definitely happen. But criminal charges for this individual will result in, I'm telling you right now, the phone calls from Maura Healey's office, they're already going on. They're like, what do we do? Hang on. What are you doing? Be very, very careful. Either like time served, misdemeanor, pay a fine, something. What? Because you have no idea what you're about to unleash on.
They don't want this to become a bigger issue or some national spotlight thing. Obviously the guy in the purple shirt running across the street, he was yelling at them and attacked them. Like you can see it on the video. They're literally like the other protesters were trying to get the guy off of the veteran. Because he was just attacking them. I assume that Maura Healey's office is telling them be sane on this one.
I don't know. It's like if they align ideologically.
Maura Healey's sometimes so hard to read on these things because sometimes she goes the correct way and a lot of the time she goes the completely partisan, nonsensical way. because she's an activist. That's what she was as Attorney General.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen here. I just thought the second charge when we got the news of what they were going to be charged with was nuts.
Yeah. A couple more things on this. So yeah, the politics of it, we know the weird Orwellian charges. I'm going to re-emphasize my thought that protesting and demonstrations, I don't think do anything in 2024. I think maybe in the 50s and 60s they had an impact. I don't think they have any solid impact on the way people vote, the way people think. I think information and people at home consuming that information in a reasoned way. I think
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't know if the reason why I say that is in 2020, I think that the Black Lives Matters protests worked poorly. I actually worked against Biden in a lot of ways.
There you go. I mean,
think that the pro-Palestinian like encampments at Columbia and all these universities, I think that worked against Democrats in a lot of ways. They were kind of scared shitless about the way that they should respond. And the way they should respond is the state of Israel has the right to exist and defend its nation and its people against a terroristic government. And so I think that it depends, right? Like
can you think of, all right, so you gave examples where it didn't have the intended effect. I'm talking about protest and demonstration for your cause having the desired effect you want for your cause. You gave two examples of the opposite of that, which I'll agree with. Those the BLM protests and the campus protests this past spring.
No, I don't think that we've had a lot of major protests in the last 10 years other than these two. We had the women's march, but that
again, did it have an effect? I don't know that it had an effect.
Did it result in anything? I don't know. Maybe more women being active in politics.
I think it was the same women that were already there. Yeah.
I didn't go because I was working.
You know what? I'm wrong. I'll say this, the Tea Party protest, but that turned into real political action. It wasn't just, it started out as like small protests, but they actually turned it into taking back the House in 2010, the Senate in 2014, almost the White House in 2012. Okay, maybe, but I don't know if it's the demonstrations or the actual out in the street protests that did it. It was the political action that made the change. I'm just not seeing, like, after the 60s and 70s, I think it's so watered down. I think the tactic is overused, and I think it's designed to make supporters of the cause feel better and feel like they've accomplished something. And this is both sides, by the way, because I see it with, the idiot talk radio hosts who, twice a year go up to Beacon Hill and protest something. Like, they do it to get their supporters, quote unquote, mobilized, but they don't actually accomplish anything. They just sort of show up, feel good, and then it feels like they did something because they went somewhere and listened and clapped. But when you walk away, it's like, did you accomplish anything? It's like, we went to the protest. We showed them what we're thinking. It's like, nobody cares, man. You're not doing it. You need to win elections and implement policy.
I agree with you.
So, I think I had one more thing on the Newton shooting. Oh, yeah, just real quick. Folks, learn to defend yourself, not just with a firearm. I think that's important too, but that's a very, that veteran, look at even though he's completely justified in what he did, now his life is going to become a nightmare. I mean, the financial burden, the legal jeopardy he's in just because you could have an overzealous prosecutor. Like, be real careful about where you conceal carry and the situations where you may in fact use your firearm. Also, though, learn to defend yourself physically without a firearm. Learn to fight. Everybody. I mean, like, maybe not the left, but because they're gonna use it for nefarious purposes. But
right, to like really describe this area where this happened, you could not. It's right outside Boston. It's above Brookline. It's a very yuppie liberal enclave.
It's a nice town.
It's a nice town. Like, I spend a lot of money on these manicures and I get them done by professionals. So, yeah, it was shocking that the story came out of there. So I do agree that you should learn how to defend yourself for a variety of reasons, and all of that. So yeah,
Yeah. All right.
because it's not anywhere. I mean, if
No,
it's
it can happen anywhere. Look,
if it happens in Newton.
yeah. The thing is, learn to defend yourself. Just with the situation with crime. You're on the rise. Yes, it is on the rise. Violent crime is on the rise. With political violence that the left likes to engage in, you need to learn how to defend yourself, or at least get away from a bad situation. So, all right. I think that's it. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Go to patreon.com/RhinoPod, only $1 a month. We will talk to you soon as the news unfolds and give you our take, and we appreciate you tuning in, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.